Hello everyone and welcome back to Hair and Now. If you're new to the channel, my name is Courtney Lane and today we're going to do something a little bit different, something a little bit fun. So ordinarily we like to talk about the history and sentiment of hair and the various ways with which people throughout history have used hair to make artwork. Now, recently, I've gotten a lot of suggestions from viewers like you to share some pieces of my personal hairwork collection. I do have several pieces of antique hair artifacts, and what better way to start off this collection series with an unboxing. I hear YouTube loves a good unboxing. So this is a piece I very recently ordered. I got it in the mail a few days ago and I have been waiting to open it so I can share this moment with you, the viewers at home. So without further ado, let's see what we have in here. Okay, first it looks like we have a wonderful little card from the seller. I'll go ahead and pop all of the seller's information down in the description, just in case any of you are budding hairwork collectors yourself. We have it from Roses and Rue. I am so excited to take a look at this piece though. First impression, before we start reading anything, we see a little lock of hair on a piece of parchment with a lot of writing and a sticker right here on the top. Now this is something I would not consider to be hair work because, as I'm sure you can tell, this lock of hair is not really shaped artistically. It's not one of our hairwork techniques that we have talked about. It's truly just a lock of hair that's tied with a tiny pink ribbon. So it's still, no doubt, highly sentimental. Now, right off the bat, since this is very tiny, very proper writing on a very old document, I'm not going to be able to pick out every single word quite yet without studying it a little more intently, but I do see right off the bat, to the memory of, and we have a name, perhaps Isa P. Hosmer, something to that effect, who died of something I can't quite make out yet, in Central America in 1832. Aged 31 years old. So this is very clearly a mourning piece. It is meant to commemorate this person who died at age 31 in the year 1832. Moving on, right before the actual lock of hair, we have a poem written out. The very first line reads, "Give tribute to the dead, bring fresh green flowers." Perhaps I'll need to make a follow-up video after I actually decipher all of these words and read it out. But the very last line of this poem says, "And with them, tears," and the word tears is underlined. How very tragic. Whether it be for memorial purposes or for friendship purposes, it is quite common to find pieces of paper or even full books that are comprised of tiny locks tied up with ribbon like this, and very often you'll see stickers just like this, or even dried plants and flowers along with them. So very much like a scrapbook to that effect. Under the lock of hair here, it says, "To Genevieve, dead." That is one thing that you do start to see from the Victorian era. They don't use quite as many euphemisms for death as we do today. Today, you very often see people say they have passed away, things that indicate that they are deceased without saying the word die, death, dead. That is something that you do see more of in the Victorian era. You start to see those words. They didn't quite shy away from those words quite as much as we do today. I'm going to go ahead and try to open this. I can see just from the lighting that there's actually writing on the back of this paper as well. This is so very carefully packaged, and I appreciate that so much from an antique seller. I have, unfortunately, in the past, received some items that were so poorly packaged that they had been damaged in transit, sometimes nearly to the point of being beyond repair. Let's have a look. So of course you can tell that with age the paper is yellowed a bit. There are even some little stains from liquid, perhaps even tears, as tragic as that is. There's one little dot right here that looks like that could very easily be a tear stain. We have our sticker, our writing, and our little lock of hair right there. It still looks rather soft, rather shiny even, has a little bit of the original shine, so that tells me that this antique piece has been very carefully, taken care of by whomever has had the pleasure of taking care of it. Now, one thing I'd also like to point out, we have the lock of hair, and we have the leaves. The lock of hair is tied with this little pink ribbon, but if we flip it to the back, we can actually see that it is sewn onto the paper. We have some thread here. So that has been sewn on. They did not want to glue it or gum it, as they would likely say, using very often gum arabic as an adhesive when working with hair. Oh, the very first line on the back says, "She was my idol. Night and day." Again, it may take me a little bit of time to get through all of these words. Some of them are a tad bit faded, but the very last line I can make out, and it says, "Hush, hush, Jenny dearest, then I weep." I just got chills. This is so dreadfully tragic. It's such a beautiful piece for its simplicity. As I said, it's clearly not hair work. It's not an intricate piece of art, but you can just feel the emotion. In this little personal piece of grief. It's handwritten lovingly with poetry, dates, a lock of hair, and a sticker. This is clearly someone who is using words to portray their grief more so than a physical art form, such as crafting a hair flower. And yet the sentiment is exactly the same, because this lock of hair is still a part of Genevieve, or as it says on the back, Jenny Dearest, who died in 1832. Think about how long ago that was, and yet this lock of hair on this piece of parchment with these loving words of grief and mourning still exists today. To me, a piece like this, although not intricate from the hair art standpoint, is the very essence of what hair means for mourning and grief and sentiment. This is a piece of Genevieve that her loved ones who miss her dearly are able to keep and hold. Because hair, of course, is extremely resistant to decay. If it's not buried in the soil, if it's kept away from any insects that might actually eat the hair, it's going to live much longer than we are. Here it is, well over 100 years after the fact. Hair can last for thousands of years if it is kept clean and dry, unburied. So it really is the perfect relic to keep of a loved one. And of course, if you think about the year 1832, this was long before cremation was as widely common as it is today. Today, almost a sort of modern equivalent of keeping a lock of hair is keeping the ashes of a cremated loved one after death. I've seen all kinds of modern implications, turning them into necklaces, marbles, paintings, all sorts of works of art or jewelry that you can keep with the ashes of your loved one. So too was hair used in the Victorian era primarily as a physical part of that loved one that you can keep. Wow. You know, it's always when the grief is put into poetry that I really begin to experience the full sentiment of what a lock of hair meant to those grieving. This very much reminds me of one of my favorite graves, which is actually in Boston, Massachusetts. There is a tiny grave made to commemorate a young boy, and the etchings on the gravestone begins with a grave with myrtle overgrown, a lock of hair is all we own, of what was once our baby fair, this little golden lock of hair. Can you imagine? It's utterly tragic, it's beautiful, it's sentimental, it's hair. So I think I better go and start poring over these words. I would like to take them all in and decipher every single one of them. If you are interested in actually hearing the full transcript of what this reads, please leave a comment down below and let me know, and I'll be sure to get that up if you are interested. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing to my channel. As of the time that I'm posting this, we are almost at 500 subscribers. And if we can make 500 this month, I'll go ahead and do a giveaway of some kind on one of my various social media sites, probably Instagram. I'll put a link to all the places you can find me in the description as well. I want to give a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon, and I will see you all very soon.